So let's get on to the Sunday games for the divisional round. And the first one I want to talk about is the Los Angeles Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles will be played at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is going to be a great game, but I don't think it's going to be as great as some other games that I talked about previously. Now, the Los Angeles Rams is coming in at 10-7. They're 5-3 away, and the Philadelphia Eagles are 14-3 and 8-1 at home. Now, according to the ESPN analytics, they does say that the Philadelphia Eagles are 65.4% to win this game. Now, when it comes to it being cold, oh, it's going to be cold. And it's supposed to snow 2:30 right before the game's supposed to kick off at 3 o'clock. It's going to be a very interesting game because you got Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, Puka Nacua, and A.J. Brown, and some other weapons like Tyler Higbee, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Demarcus Robinson for the Rams. You have so many different weapons on offense. I really want to see what both defense do against this offense. Now, Matthew Stafford, when it comes to the Los Angeles Rams, he has 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on 3,700 yards passing this year. Now, with Matthew Stafford, he has Puka Nacua, like I said, Kyron Williams, Tyler Higbee, Demarcus Robinson. They have a few other players too, which is Cooper Kupp, the former Triple Crown winner. Very interesting to see there. And then you got Jalen Hurts on the offensive side, where he had 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions on 2,900 yards, knowing that he missed 2 games with a concussion. And he didn't play well last week against the Green Bay Packers, but I got a feeling he might bounce back this week. Jalen Hurts got Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Kenneth Gainwell. They have so many other weapons. It's just very identical for both teams in this game. But we talking about a Los Angeles Rams team that's coming off the wildfires in LA, and they playing with a lot of motivation. They couldn't play at home last week. They had to go to Arizona and won the game. They did what they needed to do. They did what needed to do. And they dominated. They dominated the Minnesota Vikings. Clearly. They only scored once. And that emerging defense is really good for the Los Angeles Rams. And I like it. I absolutely like it. Now, Kyron Williams, when it comes to the running back comparison, he had 316 carries this year, 1,299 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Now, Saquon Barkley, the Russian king, the rushing title that won it, probably could have broke the record if he played in the last game of the season, but he chose to sit out. I understand. Bigger fish to fry, and that's to win the Super Bowl. 345 carries, 2,005 yards, and 13 touchdowns. I just imagine if you would have brought those touchdowns up, but the yards don't lie. The yards don't absolutely lie. And I think when it comes to Matthew Stafford and Jalen Hurts, I think both offensive coordinators is going to run the ball with both of them and see what defense can stop the run. How can these both offenses establish a run? That's a big thing there. That's going to be big. And when it comes to the receivers, you got Devontae Smith, you got Cooper Kupp. But you got Puka Nacua that came on and emerged, 79 receptions, 990 yards, almost had 1,000 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns because he was out a lot due to injury. Same thing for A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown finally went over 1,000 yards receiving and had 7 touchdowns on 67 receptions. Interesting. Very interesting there. So we're going to see what these offenses can do, but I want to see what this defense can do. When I tell you this defense here for both teams, when it comes to that front seven of the Los Angeles Rams, that front seven looks so good against the Minnesota Vikings, which they had one of the best offensive lines in football. One of them, not the best, but one of the best offensive lines in football. It turned out to be not the best against the Los Angeles Rams. They looked like they had Aaron Donald back. And you notice that front seven was the reason why the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl a couple years back. Because that defense stopped their high-power offense. So that was very interesting to see that the way this defense just dominated the Minnesota Vikings last week, can they do it against the Philadelphia Eagles? Now, we heard some things about Jared Verse talking about the Philadelphia Eagles fans. We heard that. But I think that's going to put fuel to the fire for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the way Barkley ran all over these defenses this year, he ran for scores of 70 and 72 yard in the second half when they did play earlier in the year. and finished with 255 rushing yards. And that's the Eagles' record. It was the ninth most rushing yards in a game in NFL history, and he had 302 yards from scrimmage. And that's the 12th player in NFL history to top 300 and the first Eagles player to ever hit that mark. So now, Jared Verse, you're making comments about Philadelphia Eagles fans, and Barkley did this to you a couple weeks back. Not a couple weeks back, but a few weeks back. Do you really think that you said that and you want to go into Philadelphia, you're going to have a rude awakening? Absolutely rude awakening. So for the second straight week in the playoffs, the NFC East champion Eagles get a regular season rematch, knocking off Green Bay and now possibly the Los Angeles Rams. But I like what Sean McVay and Nick Sirianni done to their offenses. Now, we all know Sean McVay calls his offense. He beat his protege in Kevin O'Connell. Now we got Kellen Moore that might be a little bit distracted due to the fact that the Cowboys want to interview him. Now, Kellen Moore is going to have to establish the running game with Saquon Barkley and have time of possession. That's going to be the biggest key for this game. Time of possession. Or you got to be vice versa for the Los Angeles Rams. You have to run the football. You got to get first downs and keep that offense off the field. Because both teams can score. We've seen that in the last couple of weeks. I think, for me, the Rams had a better offensive game in their wild card against the Philadelphia Eagles, where they kind of struggled even getting 22 points. So it's going to be a very interesting game. And like I said, it's going to be number one versus number one. I mean, Stafford's up there, Hurts up there. They both been to Super Bowls. They can really compare themselves to each other. But like on the defensive side, you have young linebackers in Braun. I think his name is Jason Braun. They lose Nakobe Dean. I think that's a big loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a big, big loss. Cooper DeJean can play safety, can play linebacker, can play defensive end, can play corner. You name it, Cooper DeJean could do everything. Then you got that front line with Jordan Davis, led by Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And those guys are great. Those guys are good. The edge is going to be on point. So now if I'm the Rams offensive line, you're going to slow down that front seven. Because on the back end, you got Darius Slay and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And a few others back there, like Devontae Maddox too. So that defense is looking good. Now for the Rams defense, they're very young, but they're very dominant. Now to see their front seven versus the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, that's one of the best in the game as well. Let's see what they could do and be up for the challenge. But I love this game. But I feel like it comes to an end for the Los Angeles Rams. I really think it does. Yes, it's going to be cold. I don't know how the Rams are in the cold. I don't know their record or what they are in the cold. But I'm giving the favor to the Philadelphia Eagles to play the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship. Detroit Lions versus Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship. That's what I have as my prediction. So for me, I like what I see. And I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. Yes, I'm picking them. Eagles. Eagles. I live here. But it's not me being biased. I just think the Rams is going to run out of gas. This Eagles offense is good. This defense does not let up. And I like the Eagles. I like to favor the Eagles in this game. But will the Rams back down? No. But the Eagles will win this game. So how do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about this game? How do you feel who's going to win this game? Put it in the comments below. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. It is Sports Talk with Darion Hopkins, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.